Get those Cybermen out.
G'day guys, Sam from the Cybermen here. Today I'm going to talk about this leader on the screen here, Son Gohan Reboot Leader. This card was all the way back in the early sets a decent leader, but it didn't stand up the test of time. So Bandai rebooted this leader, and in my opinion, ever since it came out, this leader has been an issue. It's just highlighted more now because of all the best of one formats going around. And also just more and more free play battle cards, more and more cards that destroy your opponent's hand are just adding to this build. And I feel like something needs to be done to this card. I know that a lot of people are going to hate me for saying it. I'm ready for that. Bring it on. But it's just a pain in the ass. There's two reasons, well, this card and another card that works with it. So we'll talk about them now. I'll just talk about the leader for people who somehow may not have heard of this. When you attack with this card, you can choose one or two cards in your life and add them to your hand. And when you do, you switch it to active mode. When your life is at 3 or less, you can draw 2 cards, switch up to one of your energy to active mode and flip it over. Now this usually happens, I've seen many games, and it generally happens around turn 2. So if you go second against this deck, you're going into a kill turn with 1 energy potentially up or no energy at all, depending on your deck and what you've done in your first turn. So when you awaken, when this card attacks, you draw 1 card. It has an activate battle. This is the main issue. During your turn, choose 1 card in your life and place it in the drop area. This card gets plus 10,000 power and triple strike for the turn. So what you do is you attack with this guy on this side, take life to bring yourself down to 3, and then awaken. Your leader has restood, so it's in active mode. You put a life in the drop, give it triple strike and 10k, so it's at 25k. Triple strike for the turn. He then gets another attack because he's already in active mode, and if you want to push for game, you can restand him again for another triple strike, but you lose the game if you don't win. Generally, you know you're going to win if you restand this card. So that's the main problem. In my opinion, you should not have a leader card that can do this much, that can end games this well. There's no other leader cards like that. There's no other leader cards that provide that game-ending kind of pressure without worrying about what's in the deck. I've seen people take the piss with this deck and play just this leader plus 49 or 50 Cybermen cards. Funny, it wasn't the Cybermen who did it, but I did see someone do this, and they went really well in a best-of-3 tournament, just because the leader's so strong. They didn't top, but to get mid-table with a joke deck like that just shows how bad this leader is. So the other thing is another leader that was similarly kind of oppressive. There are 2 other leaders that I can think of that were similarly kind of had these crazy skills that really shouldn't be available on a leader card. Were Hyper Evolution, Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku. That leader was banned. And the yellow Broly BR leader, which was errated, just because those 2 leaders were too strong. You were seeing all different decks played with those leaders, and we're starting to see that now with Gohan. You've got AOD played with Gohan. You've got Red played with Gohan. You've got Green, Blue, Green. All these different decks are getting played with this leader. In a best-of-1 format, it's almost impossible to beat if your opponent gets the right hand. Especially if you're going second, against it. Now, another card that's a big issue with this is you'll notice that this card on the awakened side, it's not on the unawakened side, is a Son Goku, because you have Goku in the background there. That means that this card, Feat Kamehameha, is live with that card. So what that does is, if your leader card is a green Son Goku, for the duration of the battle, it gains 15,000 power and critical. So what you're doing is you're attacking with a 25,000 power triple strike, and then you're tapping 1 energy to make that a, 40,000 critical triple strike attack. Now on turn 2, your opponent pretty much cannot stop that unless they've got an answer, they can't stop you from critting that. You can maybe combo your whole hand and get out of it, but then you're dead anyway because you've comboed your whole hand. So this card could be the problem. Maybe stopping this card from working with the leader somehow could fix the broken part, but I think the leader is the problem. This card was fine before this leader existed. The leader is what is breaking this card. There are no other Gokus that are really bad with this leader. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the things you could do to counter this deck. There are counters to this deck, don't get me wrong, but you rely on getting them in your first hand, and they are locked to leaders as well. So, or locked to colors. So it's very tough. I mean, Release from Evil is probably the best counter to this deck. This card, you would have to be tapping 1 for it, so you can't tap out. It chooses the attacking card, ignoring barrier, and negates its skills for the turn, so it loses that critical, it loses that triple strike, and it also stops it from switching to active mode. So they can take life with their leader skill, but they can't switch to active mode. So this is the best counter for that leader. There are a few others. I'll go over 2 of them, but I'll talk about the others. But you can only play this in a yellow deck. Mars Saiyan, Brainwashed No More. This is a new promo card, which means it's super expensive. Barely anybody can get their hands on it right now. I haven't seen any of the promo cards from this tournament pack at all. What you do is, if your leader card is black and you discard this card from your hand, tap 1 black energy and place 1 card from your life in the drop area, your leader card doesn't take damage for the battle. So that stops that attack. Arguably, this is one of the best counters as well. This guy stops him from restanding, which is amazing. But this lets your opponent use resources to try and push that damage, and then just stops them from doing it. Problem is, your leader card needs to be black, and you need a black specified energy. So it's locked, again, to the black archetype, which I think is fair because in terms of this card, black doesn't have that much defense like the other colors do, but I think that this in all colors would have been nice. But still, the fact that you can't get your hands on this is one thing, but having to have that in your hand to stop a deck just isn't fair in my opinion. Another one for green is Dormant Potential Unleashed. This card deserves its own video about how strong it is, but this can kind of help you depending on how your opponent sequences. If they attack with a battle card first, you can stop them from dual attacking with their leader. But this is probably the weakest of the 3 skills or 3 cards I'm talking about today that can defend against Gohan. It does work though. The other one that I didn't bring a picture up of is the Zamasu Super Combo, because that card can tap your opponent's leader down. So once they go in for the attack, restand, combo out, you can take that damage, but also combo the Zamasu Super Combo and rest their leader, saving you a turn. But again, the fact that you absolutely need these cards to survive against a deck on turn 2, potentially your turn 1 with 1 energy, is dumb. It shouldn't be a thing. And I know it's best of 1, so best of 3 people are siding in all these things to defend, but there are, just over 2 weeks ago, there was a webcam best of 3 tournament in the US and in Australia, and in the US, Gohan won that. So that's a best of 3 and Gohan won. And in Australia, best of 3, Gohan got in the top 4. So you're talking about a leader that wins battles. I don't have anything against there being a really good leader or a really good deck that works, but I think a leader that wins games by itself is not fair. I feel like Bandai need to sort this out, and I feel like they will do something to it if it continues to be an issue going forward into the next block. People are choosing not to play slower decks because this card exists. And I just think it shouldn't be a thing. So bring on the hate. I know there are people that like this leader. I really like the character. I love the part of the anime, but I feel like they need to do something, even if it's ban Feet Kamehameha or stop this from working, just to knock it down a peg. But feel free to let me know your comments in the comments below what you think. If you think I'm totally wrong, that's fine, and I want to hear what you think about it. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheers. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember to like and subscribe to keep up to date on all the Dragon Ball Super content. We want to thank Grand J Games for all their support and remind you to use the code Cyberman5 at grandjgames.com for 5% off all your singles needs. Cheers.